Good evening. This is Weekdays with Wendy, and I'm reading to you from the Love Your Neighbor No Exceptions calendar. Today, March 3rd, the reading is a quote by Nelson Mandela. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. This quote is all the more amazing when you understand some of the history of Nelson Mandela. When he was young in South Africa, he became a member of the African National Congress, the ANC, and they had a method of nonviolence in their protests until 1960, when there was a large protest against the South African government restriction on non-white travel, and it was a peaceful protest. But for some reason, the Afrikaner police opened fire against the crowd, and they killed 69 people and wounded 180. And that incident changed Nelson Mandela. He went from believing in nonviolence to organizing a branch of the ANC, a paramilitary operation, where they would take up arms against the Afrikaner government, that they would meet violence with violence. And it wasn't too long after organizing this that he was arrested and imprisoned. He would be in prison for 27 years. He was first taken to the island, Robben Island, and it was a brutal, brutal place. When they arrived there, the warden met him and the other prisoners and said, "This is the island, this is where you will die." He had every reason to believe that because of the harshness of the place. He was given a 7-foot concrete cell, and because of some of the protests he would lead, he spent many of those years in solitary confinement. He would miss out on helping to raise his children. He would miss out on being there at the death of his mother and the tragic death of his son in a car accident. He wasn't allowed to attend either funeral. The work that they had to endure was brutal. They were taken to a quarry and made to chop up limestone all day. And even though that in itself was backbreaking, the really terrible thing of it was the sun reflecting against the bright limestone. It would almost blind him because it just was always so bright and just never relenting. After 27 years, a person who went into prison believing in violence against the enemy, that things had gotten that bad, he would take up arms against his enemy. He would endure the most horrific kind of situation. He would miss out on the most important times of his life. And yet after 27 years, he would come out of prison and believe in loving his enemy, understanding his enemy to the point that he could be successful and lead the country toward unity. And he could offer up a quote that said, "Love is more natural to the human heart." He had experienced that transformation. It was a grace moment over and over. He was sustained in prison by God and used by God after prison to lead his country to a place to eliminate the evil practice of apartheid and into a more unified country where he wanted to bring all the people along. Nelson Mandela believed in love over hate. And it's the call that we are living under as Christians. Christ tells us to love God, love your neighbor as yourself. Have a great evening.